she was the person everyone called. When a friend needed help moving apartments at midnight, she was there. When a colleague needed someone to cover their shift, she said yes. When her family needed money, time, emotional support, she gave it all, every single time, without hesitation. She was, by every definition, one of the kindest people alive, and she was absolutely exhausted. We grow up being told that kindness is a virtue, that putting others first is noble, that the more you give, the better person you are. But nobody tells you what happens when kindness has no boundaries. Nobody warns you about the slow, quiet way that unlimited generosity can hollow a person out, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Today we're going to talk about that, because the Stoics, those ancient philosophers who studied human nature more honestly than almost anyone, had a lot to say about the danger of giving without limits. Here are 8 things that happen when you're too kind, and 4 strategies to protect yourself before it's too late. There was a woman who cooked for her neighbors every Sunday. For years she showed up with food, with help, with time. She never asked for anything in return, or so she told herself. But one winter, when she fell sick and couldn't leave her house, her phone stayed silent. Nobody knocked. Nobody brought food. She was devastated. Not because people were cruel, but because of something she hadn't fully admitted to herself. She had been giving with an invisible expectation attached. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of acting virtuously without making your peace dependent on how others respond. When we give everything we have, a quiet part of us assumes others will do the same. And when they don't, and they often won't, we crash hard. The disappointment isn't their fault. It's the gap between what we expected and what reality delivered. Kindness without detachment is a trap. Give, but give freely. Give without an invisible envoy. The moment you establish a pattern of always saying yes, you stop being a person to some people. You become a resource. Think about it. If every time your friend calls with a problem, you solve it, what happens the day you don't? They're not just surprised, they're offended, because in their mind, that's simply what you do. The Stoics understood that humans are creatures of habit. We adapt to our environments with remarkable speed. If someone's environment includes a person who handles everything for them, they will stop handling things for themselves. Not because they're evil, because they're human. Epictetus taught that real worth comes not from pleasing others, but from acting with reason and virtue. Giving without limits doesn't make you virtuous. It creates dependency in others and in yourself. When you don't value your own time and energy, nobody else will either. Not because they're heartless, because you taught them not to. Here's an uncomfortable question. Are you helping everyone around you because you genuinely want to, or because staying busy with other people's problems keeps you from facing your own? Sometimes excessive kindness is a form of escape. If you're always solving someone else's crisis, you never have to sit alone with yours. But the bill always comes due. And when you finally stop running, you'll find 2 problems waiting. The original one you avoided, and the resentment that built up while you were neglecting yourself for everyone else. The Stoics were very clear on this. They believed that self-care is not selfishness. It is the foundation of everything else. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you don't have. There's a simple rule. Never offer someone a chocolate you haven't tasted yourself. Never volunteer to clean a friend's house when yours is still a mess. Take care of yourself first, not last. First, there's a painful irony here. The person who says yes to everything, who bends over backwards, who never pushes back, that person is not seen as generous by everyone. By some, they are seen as a doormat. And a doormat, by definition, is something you wipe your feet on. Stoicism teaches self-discipline, boundaries, and self-mastery. Not because these things make you cold, but because they make you respected. There is a difference between being kind and being spineless, and the people around you can feel it even if they never say it out loud. Here's the strange truth. The moment you start saying no, the people who took you for granted will feel something they never expected to feel toward you. Respect. Learn the word. Practice it. It will change everything. Energy is real, and it is contagious. When you are constantly giving, constantly depleted, constantly available, constantly running on empty. You vibrate at a low frequency, and low frequencies attract a very specific kind of person, the ones who need and take and never give back. Think about it. The people who show up when you're at your lowest, most stretched, most exhausted, are they builders or are they takers? The Stoics taught that the quality of our relationships reflects the quality of our inner state. When we give from a place of wholeness and strength, we attract people who are whole and strong. When we give from a place of desperation and depletion, we attract those who feed on exactly that. Protect your energy. Not out of selfishness, out of wisdom. She had hundreds of contacts in her phone, dozens of people who called regularly. But one day she decided to do an experiment. She stopped reaching out first. She stopped offering help before it was asked. She simply waited. Within 3 weeks, her phone went nearly silent. That silence told her something important. Many of the connections she had weren't connections at all. They were transactions. She was providing a service, not building a friendship. The Stoics believed in relationships built on mutual virtue, where both people bring something real, where both people grow. Anything less than that is not a relationship. It is an arrangement, and arrangements end the moment one party stops providing their part. Ask yourself honestly, if you stopped giving tomorrow, who would still be there? Those are your real people. Invest there. This one is rarely talked about, but it is real. When chronic overgiving hollows you out, the emptiness needs to go somewhere. And sometimes it finds an exit in substances, food, gambling, or any numbing behavior that makes the exhaustion temporarily bearable. Someone who loves you might notice before you do. They might say something, carefully, gently, and your first instinct might be defensiveness. I'm fine, I don't have a problem. But the Stoics taught the importance of honest self-examination, of looking at your own patterns without flinching, of listening to people who love you, even when, especially when, what they say is hard to hear. Pay attention to what you're reaching for at the end of a long day of giving. It might be telling you something important. Here is perhaps the most unexpected consequence of all. When you are endlessly kind in a world that isn't, people don't always respond with gratitude. Sometimes they respond with suspicion. What does she want? Why is he being so helpful? Nobody does this for free. What's the angle? We live in a world where genuine altruism is rare enough that it confuses people, and confused people get defensive. This doesn't mean you should stop being kind. It means you should be strategic about it. Be kind with boundaries. Be generous with purpose. Because unlimited, indiscriminate giving doesn't just exhaust you. It makes people distrust you. The Stoics were wise about this. Virtue is not about performing goodness for an audience. It is about living in alignment with your values, quietly and consistently, without needing anyone to understand or approve. The Stoics placed enormous value on self-awareness, on sitting quietly with your inner state and honestly examining what you find there. Ask yourself, how does it feel when you help someone? If your answer is joy, lightness, and genuine fulfillment, you're giving from the right place. But if your honest answer is exhaustion, resentment, or quiet anger, your feelings are sending you a signal. Don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it. Listen. Tired, overwhelmed, used. These are not signs of weakness. They are your internal compass telling you that something is out of balance. Honor that signal. Adjust accordingly. No is not a cruel word. It is a complete sentence. For many of us, saying no feels like a moral failure. Like we've let someone down. Like we've broken a promise we never actually made. But the Stoics knew that self-control, including the control over what we agree to, is a fundamental virtue. You are not obligated to give what you don't have. You are not required to say yes when yes will destroy you. Practice it. Literally, if you need to, stand in front of a mirror and say the word until it stops feeling foreign. Because on the other side of that word is something you may have forgotten: freedom. The Stoics were obsessed with time. Seneca wrote entire essays about how carelessly we squander the one resource that can never be replenished. Your time is yours. Protect it. Schedule time for yourself, not as a reward for finishing everything else, but as a non-negotiable commitment. Exercise, rest, a cup of tea, a walk, whatever restores you. And when someone asks for your time during that space, you are allowed, without guilt, without elaborate explanation, to say, "I'm not available then. I can help you at this other time instead." You don't owe anyone your every waking moment. You know who they are. You've felt it, that specific tiredness that comes after spending time with certain people. The way they fill every conversation with complaints, catastrophes, and crises that somehow never get better no matter how much you help. The Stoics called this wisdom, the ability to discern which relationships build you up and which drain you dry. Here's the hard truth about energy vampires. You cannot fix them. Not because they're beyond help, but because they don't actually want the problem solved. The problem is their identity. Take it away and they'd have nothing left to talk about. Distance yourself, not with cruelty, but with clarity. Your energy is finite. Spend it on people and things that deserve it. The Stoics believed that the wisest path in life is almost always found in the middle. Not too much, not too little. Balance. Kindness is one of the most beautiful qualities a human being can possess. But kindness without boundaries is not a virtue. It is a wound waiting to happen. To you, and eventually to the people you love. So be kind, be generous, be warm. But remember, you are also someone who deserves kindness. You are also someone whose needs matter. You are also someone who is allowed to say N. The word is simple. The freedom it gives you is extraordinary.